Ladies and gentlemen, contest number 6 is 6 3-minute rounds of boxing in the light heavyweight division. Introducing to you firstly, boxing out of the blue corner, wearing the red coloured shorts trimmed with grey. At the weight he scaled 12 stone, 8 pounds, a fine stalwart of British boxing. From Lydney, a fine exponent of the noble art, Louis Van Poon. And opposing him, boxing out of the red corner, wearing the blue colour shorts trimmed with grey. At the weight he scaled 12 stone, 1 pound, 4 ounces, a fine outstanding record. 31 contests, 25 wins. 15 of those wins coming by way of knockout, just 6 defeats. Presenting from Stourbridge, the former welterweight champion of Great Britain, the Commonwealth and Europe, the Savage Sam Eggington. Timekeeper with the bell, Phil Morris, or even Amjad Dinton. Referee Jimmy Kirkpatrick, 6 3-minute rounds.
Okay, let's both know the rules. Keep the punches up, head on the inside. Bay back now, all time, and finish all time. Quick gloves, go on to your ball.
We've got the Charity Shield tomorrow, Terry, with Liverpool and City. Judging by the way these two have been behaving with each other before the first bell, almost like the Charity Shield of boxing, this.
Yeah, Poetsch was just doing a little belt gesture at his waist. The achievements of Eggington was being read out. It's just one of those end of season contests that's going to go 6 rounds, and it's just a chance for Eggington to get back in there, get back into the swing of things. Between the beards and the baldness and the different hairstyles of the 3 men in the referee, it's like the 3 ages of man, 3 stages of male pattern baldness. But like you say, with Eggington, it's just a strange point of his career. He's still relatively young, but he's had some pretty bad setbacks, and that fight against Liam Smith was just, even though it's only 5 rounds, Liam Smith can beat the hell out of someone over 5 rounds. He's so heavy-handed.
Yeah, it'd be good to see Eggington get back down to welterweight. I think that's his natural division, isn't it? And obviously he's shown what he can do before, and I'm sure he'll get back up there in the future. He'll certainly get the opportunity, as you just said.
Yeah, and he's one of those, Eggington, he's do or die, isn't he? He's always going to post a decent win and get upset every so often. He's just one of those fighters, and think he's settled into that part of his career now. The Liam Smith fight, I mean, people could say it was a gamble, but it wasn't even a gamble. I just thought there was no chance on paper he was going to win that fight, and it was always going to be a pretty bad night's wait for him. And now he's got the total opposite in Poetsch, who, like you said, was a bit deferential towards him before the first bell.
One thing those defeats haven't seemed to have done, though, is knock his enthusiasm for the sport out. You know, he's here in Oldham Sports Centre, a world away from where he's has been, and he's still getting on with it. So it's not the stuffing out of him completely as regards to still being ambitious.
Yeah, John's always said he just really enjoys fighting Sam. Sometimes that can be a good thing, sometimes it can be a bad thing. As we've seen before, he's still got the support of Barry Earn, and I think if Barry Earn's apparently checking in every couple of weeks to find out how he's getting on in the gym. Eddie's obviously off trying to establish himself in America, but I think if you've got Barry Earn fighting your corner, that's good in terms of him getting opportunities on Sky, and Barry Earn will throw the odd big fight his way if he maintains some kind of consistency of form.
And if indeed it is welterweight, then there's plenty of opportunities, isn't there? You know, we've got the British title's being contested tonight. Chris Jenkins fighting Paddy Gallagher. VIP is Liam Taylor. He's next in line. There's Johnny Garton, there's Conor Benn. Josh Kelly, there's plenty of fighters at British level around welterweight for Eggington's an attractive opponent for.
Yeah, and the thing with Eggington's fights is, you know, there's always going to be a story in the fight. If win, lose or draw, you know, he's always going to have his vulnerabilities. He's a club-type fighter, TV-type fighter who's always going to generate atmosphere and drama whenever he fights on the big stage.
Just been the busier here, hasn't he, over the first couple of minutes?
Yeah, and I think you'd expect that against Poetsch. You should say Poetsch was all smiles before the first bell. He's been pretty much all smiles since he arrived. Poetsch was giving us a thumbs up before and giving over his music. Just seems absolutely delighted to be there.
There's a little bit of the... I've heard some people saying that Andy Ruiz pulled it off to a tee against Joshua. Terry, you know, be the nice guy, be thankful for the opportunity, and just hope that factors into the other guy's mindset.
Yeah,
maybe there's a little bit of that at play today.
Yeah, as you say, Ruiz did it perfectly against Joshua, touching the belts and whatnot. And I think Joshua took his eye off the fact that he was fighting an actual decent fighter who just didn't look aesthetically pleasing, but was probably someone with the fastest hands Joshua had come across at that point. And it's just shocking in the meantime, you think Joshua had won the fight and still held all the titles, where they're treating Ruiz, that he's being told when he's going to be fighting, where he's going to be fighting, and pretty much everything in between. After recent events, I can't see Ruiz coming to the UK to defend the title so far after everything that's gone on recently with Dillian White and whatnot.
No, the unified heavyweight titles are a big bargaining chip, isn't it? I think holds a lot of sway in negotiations. I know there must have been a contract signed, but no full well. Contracts in boxing.
Yeah, there's loads of ways you can find an immediate rematch contract. You could maybe retire for a month even and then make a comeback and then say the contract no longer stands. But you just get the sense of trying to bully him into fighting in the UK, but he's not having any of it. And obviously Ernest said this offer possible venues, and then of course everyone starts talking about Dubai and rumours pop up about that. But I'd be surprised if the fight doesn't land in America when it finally is finalised. Or they might have to pay him a shed load of money to come to the UK. Either way, I think Ruiz will be confident going into that rematch. The sounds coming from Joshua, it doesn't sound like he's going to make major improvements going into the second fight.
Yeah, it wasn't a one-shot knockout, was it? It was a sustained beating.
Yeah.
Nothing resembling a beating going on here at the moment. Sam Eggington just being the busier over Louis Van Poetsch, just pushed him off balance with a jab there, but nothing too heavy landing from either guy so far.
Yeah, it's very controlled, Eggington, in this one. He's similar to when we saw Mark F on here last time Mark fought here, when he put in a very controlled performance in his comeback fight after losing for the first time in his career.
Nice little left up body and head there from Eggington. Bit of blood there from Poetsch's nose. Or is it his eye? It's smeared on his face.
Yeah, he had a wipe of his nose in it, maybe it's gone up, smeared up across his eye. We'll have a quick close look at that.
Well, we mentioned the charity shield before. You know, usually a friendly game. This is suddenly taking a bit of a turn. That famous charity shield game with Liverpool and Leeds, where Kevin Keegan and Norman Hunter got sent off, and it developed into something a bit more physical.
Definitely the nose for Poetsch by the look of it. I've seen that nose of his go a few times. Makes you wonder why he doesn't shave his tash off him or something to constantly get it cleaned out.
Nice boxing from Eggington.
Yeah, I was thinking that he's been controlled, hasn't he? I think he needs something like this, similar to what we just had a moment ago with Mark Efron, instead of just going in there and trying to bomb someone out or overwhelm them.
And I welcome this, Terry. You know, in the past, championship level fighters didn't have to have every single fight at championship level. Even Julio Cesar Chavez used to disappear off back to Mexico and keep himself sharp with a couple of club fighters. Just keep rolling. What's wrong with it?
Yeah, we see that with James Toney as well, although they were just trying to keep the weight off Toney, wasn't they? But they had him all over. They had him in Europe as well, didn't they? Fighting title fights, non-title fights, and then everything in between. And obviously James Toney took it to the extreme because his warm-up fight for Roy Jones' fight was against Prince Williams, which was one of the best light heavyweights in previous years, and he decided to take him on for his super middleweight title before going into the biggest fight of his career.
Just got a little bit more difficult in that round for Louis Van Poetsch.
Yeah, even though he's boxing a quite controlled fight, Eggington, he's still got that heavy-handedness about him, hasn't he, even when he's boxing well within himself. That's something he might want to do in his bigger fights. Eggington is just instead of just throwing everything at his opponents, we've seen him do in the past and getting caught.
It was a bizarre night, that second round stoppage he suffered to the African fighter, wasn't he? It was something you can't even fathom, you know, the way he fought that night, the way it all ended.
Yeah, he got caught, didn't I? think it was a left hook that got him on bad legs initially, and instead of composing himself, he just seemed to think that he could just steamroll the guy and absolutely got blitzed. And we spoke to John Pegg, and the camp didn't want to make any excuses about the fight. They just said it was one of those things. He took the loss like a man and made no excuse. And now he's trying to just rebuild himself back from it. it was a bad night for Eggington that night.
Totally out of character for him as well, you know, even in the odd losses that he has suffered, he's been pretty durable. It took Liam Smith 5 one-sided rounds to get him out of there, so pretty unique blemish on his record, that.
Yeah, he looked dazed, didn't he, in that one? He looked like he was just going through the motions and fighting in slow motion. As you say, it was an unusual one, especially when you think Liam Smith, he's not a dramatic one-punch hitter, Liam Smith, but you want like a few digs off him. He's quite heavy-handed, Liam, and quite consistent as well with the way he puts his punches in.
Looks like he's trying to be a bit looser to me here, Eggington. You know, left hand's down, isn't it? He's trying to get his shoulders loose and just throwing little short bursts, 3s and 4s.
Yeah, you can see it's working. Fampucci's having to... It was all smiles in the first round, but now it's a bit more serious from Fampucci. He's trying to throw a couple of shots as well to defend himself and turn back the tide. And Eggington is boxing toward this, but he's one of those guys when he gets into a title fight, Eggington, as soon as he gets caught on the chin or sent, someone starts firing back, he's just going to dig his toes and start firing away with them.
Yeah, revert to type, won't he? If Poetsch catches him, he'll revert to type pretty quickly.
I just think that's something that's in his nature. That's something that John Pegg's an excellent trainer. He can work on that in the gym, but when you get there in the ring, as you say, he'll just revert to that type of kind of savage, caveman-like mentality that he's got. And Eggington's just got that look about him. He looks like he should be cuffed in tribal piercings and nose rings and all that type of stuff.
Van Poetsch seems to, when Van Poetsch first turned over and started fighting on the VIP shows, he was covered in, he used to have a San Francisco 49ers badge, didn't he? And he's red and gold and things. He looks like he's going through he's trying to go old school now, you know, with the shorts and the boots and the flat cap and the poles before the first bell. Yeah,
his shorts are a bit like Howard Clark's kind of scruffy looking shorts that he used to tip up to the VIP shows with. I like Fampucci, he's one of my favourite journeyman types to watch. Like you say, he's got a bit of character about him as well.
Enjoys it, I think, doesn't he?
Yeah. And I think he knows that he's got a bit of a different look about him, and I think he enjoys that aspect of it as well, a bit of a celebrity on the circuit. But it's just very controlled stuff from Eggington, which I think is something that John's definitely set him out to do.
Little cheers, Sam, at the end of the round. Safely makes it back to his stool.
Yeah, I think Fampucci, when he found out he was fighting Eggington, maybe he's taking a bit of a tuning up at the moment, but he probably thought he might be fighting the Sam Eggington of old, and it would have been a really tough night for him.
Some corner that, isn't it, that Eggington's got John Pegg, you know, one of the most underrated voices in British boxing, I think, and Kerry Kay's there. Been there, seen it, done it.
Yeah, he's a great guy, John. I was just talking to Kerry there and after catch up with him. He's just really enjoying it at the moment, Kerry. Isn't the fact he can dip in and out, he can pick and choose the fights and the corners that he works in as well, and he's spent many years working hard with Billy Graham to get himself in that position. So I think Kerry's got the right balance out of most of the people you find knocking about the sport.
Round 4. I was saying he'll always say he picks and chooses, but he seems to be at every single show, doesn't he?
Yeah, every time I see Kerry, he says that he's doing less and less, but as you say, he seems to be doing more and more. But he was saying before, I think his wife Jan likes him to be out of the house now, so she's going to have a mates round and a few glasses of wine, and he's up there in the suburbs now, so I think by the time he gets back home, it'll probably be about 1, 2 o'clock in the morning most nights.
Into round 4 of this, Van Poetsch, a bit more aggressive to start this one on. Eggington's got every round in the bank so far, but whenever Sam just wants to take control back, just ups the pace a little bit.
Yeah, as you say, it's been really controlled stuff by Eggington. He's not rising to any bait that Fampucci puts out for him, and that'd be quite pleasing for John Pegg. Obviously, it's the type of stuff you can work from in the gym, but you need to actually, when you get into the ring, the fighter then needs to show the same composure in the ring, which we saw with Ronnie Efren not too long ago. And Fampucci, I think, just had to open up a little bit, just stopping Eggington relentlessly marching him down, give Eggington something to think about as well, as he does there for right hand.
Just checked himself for a cut there, Eggington. Yeah, nice little... John Pegg was just shouting, switched on, and Van Poetsch just led with that right hand. It landed flush, didn't it?
Yeah, I believe he's got something in the pipeline, Eggington, so we should say he wants to be avoiding cuts or anything, any injuries. Which the whole purpose for tonight was to come in, get the rounds and get the win.
Ooh, another right hand there from Van Poetsch.
Yeah, he pitched him well, didn't he? He rolled that one in, Van Poetsch.
Gum shield comes out, clever trick.
Yeah, gives himself 30 seconds to have a little smile to himself as he went back to the corner.
Relive it a couple of times and just stop Sam retaliating too quickly.
Like you say, Van Poetsch is one of those guys, get the impression he really loves it. Loves being in and around the fights. He's one of those guys who's not in the dressing room all night. He was sat at ringside watching a few of the fights earlier on. Eggington's done well to take a couple of right hands so far in this round, and he's not gone on a rampage or anything. He stayed in control of himself. And that's what John Pegg's saying, show a bit of head movement, show him your boxing and show him the jab. And that was a bit more of the Eggington we used to, just walking in and clubbing away.
Yeah, this is, as we alluded to a couple of rounds ago, Terry, once he gets clipped, no matter what, you teach him or tell him, he will revert to type. You can see he's almost fighting his instinct, can't you? To just go after Van Poetsch. He's trying to listen to and do what John Pegg says.
Yeah, and he's doing a good job. He's been disciplined so far. He's landed a couple of good left hooks, almost the solar plexus in this round, almost like left hooks come uppercuts. There's been good controlled stuff. The Eggington is showing that he can have discipline, at least at this level. But I should say, when he steps up a level or with the title on the line, a bit more pride on the line, you always see a different story with him.
Come up to round 5. He's got 4 in the bank, Eggington, so far.
Yeah, he's took a couple of shots, but it's absolutely no chance he's given up any of the rounds so far. Let's just say Van Poetsch, the past couple of rounds, has been a bit more business-like himself. It's all smiles at first, but I think he realised that he needed to actually try and do something, just stop Eggington marauding all over him.
10 seconds, guys. Seconds out. Round 5.
Round 5 here. Sam Eggington and Louis Van Poetsch on VIPboxing.tv.
And again, behind the jab from Eggington, he's staying nice and tight as well. Maybe John Pegg will let him off the leash in the final round, or maybe they'll just say to do more of the same. So if an opportunity does pop up in the next couple of months, he's ready for it.
Must be hard for guys like Van Poetsch to take on a challenge like this. Not just the difference in skill, but they're used to fighting guys of a certain level, aren't they? Guys where they can steal a break and they can sleepwalk their way through fights, and all of a sudden they've got someone who's making them work for every second of every round.
Yeah, it's like you say, it's a big transition. And as you say, Eggington's so young, we forget he's only 25, but it seems like he's had so much practice in such a short space of time in his career as well. A couple of smiles there from Van Poetsch, but he's just relentless from Eggington. Even though he's boxing towards us, he's still on Van Poetsch pretty much every second of every moment of the round. His jab's been decent as well, Eggington, in this one.
Yeah, I think he's put his hands together quite well. Well, some little bit of blood inside his left eye there, Eggington. I was just trying to see where it came from, but I think it's come from Van Poetsch's nose.
The thing with Eggington, like we say, when he gets caught with a shot in a big fight, the red mist will descend, but you want to kind of implement those core skills that you can use to just grab himself a breather, stick his jab out and not be drawn into a big war every time he's in a major fight. and ultimately that'll help prolong his career. Because the way he's been going, Eggington, up and down career he's had, you can't see him going beyond 29, 28, unless he finds a style like this and manages to mix up and get himself a bit of longevity.
Left uppercut there from Eggington.
Yeah, I've noticed that a couple of
Poetsch
times
always
on the
fires back in
inside.
the exchanges, doesn't he, though?
Yeah, he had the word for him as well, Poetsch, then, didn't he? Maybe telling him he's probably got a fight lined up pretty soon, so we can't afford the stoppage. Again, more good work from Eggington on the inside. It was controlled work on the inside as well. He's certainly picking his punches pretty well. Obviously, you've got to take into mind the calibre of opponent, but he's showing a lot of patience in there, Eggington.
Still 3 fights for you here tonight. We've got Joico next, then Akib Fiaz, who's looked really good so far, and then Ken Gardner, late notice changer opponent. He's going to fight Jamie Quinn.
I think we were watching a fight once where Jamie Quinn put down a bowl of spaghetti and came covered in late notice for Pat Barrett a couple of years back.
Yeah. Jumped in his car and fought his Alpha Barrett, didn't he?
Yeah. I think he was walking his dog at the time when the call came. But again, Eggington is really listening intently in the corner as well to the instructions he's been given by John Pegg, even though it's pretty much a dead rubber of a fight and he's going to get the win. It shows that he's at least trying to do something different, Eggington. And as we said, he needed something different at this point in his career, otherwise he was going to become one of those up and down fighters who would have no longevity.
Yeah, if you do enjoy it, you know, if you do just enjoy boxing and do just enjoy fighting, right? This is almost like going back to school, isn't it? You know, you're learning something new, you're putting it into practice. There's no pressure on you. Should be enjoying it, Eggington.
And that's what John Pegg's saying in the corner. We wanted that jab for the all 6 rounds. So it looks like again he's going to come out and box toward us. And as you say, it's not just a case of learning new things. It's a bit like going back to school, and he's learning coping strategies that he can use to get behind his jab, maybe in fights where things are going against him and he's got something else to think about. He can just automatically get on his jab and give himself a bit of breathing space. Almost like learning the type of things people like Poetsch do in order to get themselves a few seconds with the gum shield and all the fiddling about and the rest of it. And all the while he's been digging in those body shots.
Yeah, it's not been a spectacularly bad night for Poetsch, but I get the impression it's probably been quite painful, you know, and it's been relentless, hasn't it? Eggington's always been touching him with something.
Yeah, it's been a different type of night for Poetsch, isn't it? Usually he's fighting maybe a 3-4-0 prospect who is going to give him lots of opportunity to have a break and fiddle about, but Eggington's been on him pretty much every second of every round, and he'll have felt the quality and the impact of the punches in there from Poetsch. I imagine he'll be glad to hear the final bell on this one.
Yeah, just coming up to the last minute now. The Baltic Bomber got stopped with 30 seconds to go of a brave effort against Bob Adjisaf. See if Louis Van Poetsch can make it the full distance against Sam Eggington.
It looks like it's going to go that way. She said Poetsch was all smiles and quite deferential before the fight, but Eggington's not let that distract him. He's gone out there and done quite a he's been quite, can't get my word out.
Methodical,
that's the one. And that's not something you expect to see with Sam Eggington. Maybe that's why I was struggling to find the word. But yeah, he's just been meeting 2 feds really, which, as you say, is going to be good for him when the inevitable call comes from Barry Earn saying, get the band back together, you're back in.
I was just saying about Kerry Kay's doing less and less. Well, he's done God knows how many corners tonight. I think he's on his 3rd T-shirt of a knife. He's just popped out with a dangerous Joico T-shirt on, who's in the next fight.
Yeah, he was saying that before. He said he's got 3 changes back in the dressing room. He said there was one time he had to wear 3 t-shirts. I think he had to do 3 back-to-back fights. In this case, of just ripping one t-shirt off after another as each fight went by.
So there we go. 6 rounds in for Sam Eggington. He'll be delighted with that. John Pegg will be, and Lou Van Poetsch probably will be as well.
Yeah, like we said, it wasn't anything too dramatic, but it's better for Eggington to do that than to come out and try and either blast his opponent out or take a few shots en route to blasting his opponent out. It was just a nice controlled performance and something that I think at this point in his career he needed more than he needed a first or second round knockout.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 6 rounds of boxing, referee Jamie Kirkpatrick has scored the contest 60 points to 54 points for your winner, the Savage Sam Eggington.
There we go, 60-54 for Sam Eggington, just as we thought.
And your appreciation for the always jovial.
Going to have a little break, and Luke Madeira's going to jump back on.
And our sponsors, Luke, bringing the show.
For all boxing info, news and latest interviews, amateur and pro, across the north, click and subscribe. VIP Boxing Promotions. Also Twitter, Instagram and Facebook.